have a pitch. Woo! Our first guest, Ricardo! Hello, everyone, and welcome to our very first ever episode of Exsus Travel Podcast. We haven't got a name yet, but we will have one eventually. We wanted to do this just to be able to give you a bit more of a behind-the-scenes look, to really get to know our team members, our experts in the region. So today we've got Ricardo, who is our Latin America expert. He's been with us, how long have you been with us now?
2 years.
2 years. He's a favourite in the team. He's the backbone of Exsus. So I think it'd be really good to kick off with maybe what sparked your passion for Latin America at first, maybe what made you an expert in the region.
Perfect. Yeah, being half Brazilian, half English, I think connects me to Latin America, and it's a no-brainer. So I've lived in Brazil for quite a long time, traveled extensively through Latin America. So I have a special passion for that continent, for both South America and Central America. And I think it was just natural, me specializing in Latin America.
Amazing. So have you traveled like all over it? Where have you been?
Yeah, so I've been to most countries. Like there's a few that I haven't been to, such as Bolivia. I have not been to Guatemala, which is in my bucket list for next year. There's a few that unfortunately I haven't been to, but mostly throughout South America I have been everywhere. A couple places still need to tick off, like Guyana, Suriname, and French Guiana are also in my bucket list.
He's on the way. Yeah. He will become an expert in those too.
Yeah, but I have done extensive training, so not being in those countries doesn't stop me from selling them. I know them quite well. For example, Bolivia, I haven't been to, but I have extensive training, know quite a lot about the Titicaca, the salt flats, and the combination of Peru, Bolivia, and Chile. So it's quite immense continent. And unless you went backpacking, it's kind of hard for you to visit all, but I will eventually be in all of them.
I've traveled everywhere. So tell me a bit about some of your favorite destinations to sell and what you'd recommend.
Oh, it's quite hard. I think everywhere in Latin America has their specific flavor, specific unique thing to it. Ideally, go visit all of them. But I think for starters, I think Costa Rica is always in the
Costa Rica.
Yes, it's always in the minds of travelers from the UK, and it's quite nice because you do have direct flights at some points of the year. From October to March, you can travel there directly, so that helps quite a lot. But Costa Rica itself, with its pura vida, its sustainability focus on the whole country, is very unique. I think from the beginning, from the start, you get to the country, you feel that vibe of the Costa Rican, and I think that's imperative for their success in tourism. And then if you go to different places in Costa Rica, you feel the different culture, the different vibe. For example, if you're down south, if you're down in the Caribbean coast, it's a lot of the Caribbean feeling to it, a lot of the reggae, the Caribbean food to it. But then if you go more towards the west coast, it's a little bit more unique. It's a different vibe. It's more about extreme sports, adventure, wildlife. So you have quite a lot of places that you can go in Costa Rica that will seem like you're going to different countries. So that one is a must. The other place I think it's always in the bucket list as well is Peru, because I think Peru has a lot of history to it. And when you combine the civilizations that they have in Peru with the people that are there now, you kind of go back in time. So it is an extremely cultural interaction when you go to Peru. And I think that's also a very interesting place to go.
So obviously we've spoken about how Costa Rica is obviously on everyone's bucket list. It's like a standout feature everyone wants to go to. But what would you say are some of the more overlooked hidden gems of Latin America?
Oh, that's a good question. I think Latin America has so much hidden gems for you to explore. A lot of them have been explored by some travelers, but in general, there's quite a few places that are not the spotlights when you're looking at holidays to Latin America. I think Mexico, for example, is a great example. It's something that we at Exsus were very interested in, very focused in exploring and offering to our clients, which is exploring the whole of Mexico. So instead of just using the Riviera Maya, the resort, the Cancun bit, we're trying to expose the whole of Mexico. And there's so many places that we can offer. A special one is a small little town about 2.5 hours north of Mexico City, which is called San Miguel de Allende. It's a really nice colonial town, but very renowned for its stunning architecture. It's some amazing small boutique hotels. And it's a great place for 2-3 nights for you just to get immersed into that culture of
see the real Mexico.
The real Mexico, yeah. Of course, a lot of other places in Mexico already well known, such as Oaxaca, which is an amazing, Merida, which is a great place as well, which is in the Yucatan Peninsula. But there's quite a lot of other places. Guadalajara is a big city, which is amazing to explore. And then you also have all the Pacific coast with some amazing beach places for you to go that will give you some wildlife and some adventure holidays as well, such as Los Cabos and La Paz over in Baja California are amazing places for you to visit that are not usually in the minds of the English travelers.
Yeah.
Going south more, then you have, I'll skip down to Brazil, which Brazil is a huge country, is a massive country. And a lot of the travelers, they just think of Brazil as Rio and Iguazu,
Yeah.
sometimes the Amazon and the Pantanal. So that's, you're just covering 4 parts of Brazil where you have actually loads more to do. So you have the Northeast, which is quite amazing for beaches, for that ending relaxation, and you tend to get good weather the whole year round there. So it's a right nice place for you to go for the winter sun, even when it's winter in Latin America. Yeah. Another place that's one of my bucket list places to go is the historic towns of Minas Gerais, which that one is quite unique. I think in the 20 years of travel that I've worked with, I've only booked probably 2 or 3 packages to the historic center for English travelers. It is the old colonial Brazil. There's amazing trip from Paraty, which is well known beach place, all the way down to Ouro Preto, traveling through the farms, traveling to the historic centers. There's a little small train that you can take part of the trip. So it is something very unique, amazing, that you do need to be well catered for. So we wouldn't have to work something very special with guides to go through the whole area, because it is a very untouched area by English travelers.
So, from your travel experiences in Latin America and South America, what stands out as like the most memorable experiences to you, or like the bucket list?
Oh yeah, for me it was the Galapagos. I think anywhere you travel in the world, after you go to the Galapagos, your mind just blows. It's almost going to an unreal place. So I think that's, for me, that was the most unique, the most different experience that I had. I had the privilege to go on a really nice ship going along the islands for 7 days. 7 nights, 8 days, and that was incredible. But I think there's loads of options for you to do in the Galapagos. You could do shorter boat trips. You could do what we call the island hopping, which is, for me, my next option for Galapagos would be hopping around the islands. It's incredible. I always say when I was there, it was the most impressive is me walking by these birds who are about like the distance that we are right now. They just look up at you, smile, and then they ignore you, and it's like, how can you get so close to nature?
Is that because they've just never known like people?
Yes, and because they're not influenced by the.
Because they have quite a lot of strict rules, the Galapagos, don't they? Like,
yeah, so it's very controlled. And then once you're in those really deserted islands there, where it's only the animals and nature, you have to go with a naturalist, and then they have paths for you to go, so you don't explore outside of the path,
which helps just preserve the environment and keep it so.
But then these paths because they're preserving, you see like birds nesting right beside the path, and so and then they feel safe there, so then it's in their haven, so they don't see humans as
like a threat to them. They're not scared of them. I think that's a really special example of, like, I think tourism can impact a lot of places quite negatively. There's a lot of places that get really, really busy and there's so much football that can ruin the magic of a destination, whereas the Galapagos does it really well because it keeps the nature.
And I think it's because it's so hard to get there as well.
That helps.
It helps quite a lot. And a lot of people don't have this touch with nature. And I think for the clients that have that touch with nature, it is a must at some point. If you're more active, you're more the experimental, there's loads of ways for you to go hopping and doing a lot of stuff on your own based on the islands. But if you want to do that bucket list where you are well treated, everything booked for you, the whole itinerary focused on you, then I would go on a liveaboard, on a nice cruise. There's smaller boats which have about 16, 20 people, to mid-sized boats with around 50 people. And then there's the big boats who have around 90 people, maybe 100. Very hard for him to have 100, but usually it's around 90 people. But even with the 90 people, you feel like you're in a small environment because you go out in separate groups. So you go out in your dinghy with another 8 guests on it, and then you explore different times and different areas. So it still feels like you're in a small group once you're immersing in the nature.
So it'd be also good to know, I think, what is luxury travel looking like in Latin America then? What are the trends that you're seeing?
Oh, I think luxury travel in Latin America ranges quite a lot. I think it's quite unique, the ability for you to go to really luxury, but at a good a price point. Of course, there's the ultra luxury that will take your budget all the way up. But I think there's places that it's worth spending a little bit more for you to get the experience. I think a lot of Latin America is tending to focus on the sustainability, the making sure that everything is reused, or they're carbon neutral hotels. So there's quite a few hotels that are going in that direction. If that is your purpose, I think that that's a good place for you to look into. An example of this would be a great jungle lodge in the Mindo Cloud Forest, not too far away from Quito in Ecuador, called Mashpi Lodge, which is amazing. It's
I've seen that. It's
extremely
beautiful,
immersed
yeah.
into the rainforest. They have a lot of focus on the biodiversity, but the hotel is quite unique, right in the middle of the Mindo Cloud Forest. So that one is an amazing. Another great option for the explorers would be Awasi Patagonia, which is immersed in the middle of the Torres del Paine National Park, where you're just in nature, just you and nature. And it's, of course, an ultra luxury hotel that offers you amazing food, amazing drinks, and excursions included. Awasi is quite nice because it has a whole package where they take care of you from the time you arrive in Puerto Natales or Punta Arenas until the time you depart back to your next stop. So there's loads of places that right now are the trends for the luxury travel. There are a few places in Brazil, for example, that are tending to have the luxury boutique hotels where you have 10, 15 rooms only, but at a really amazing beaches where it's just you and nature and the beach. Ponta dos Ganchos is a hotel that it's one of the top hotels in Brazil. Very nice for you to end your trip in and have a really relaxation. That famous R&R at a really nice luxury hotel with amazing food.
Amazing. So which Latin American festivals or like cultural events would you recommend to see to really like get to know the real Latin American?
That's a really good question as well. I think it's right at good timing as well, because we have now at the end of the month we have famous Halloween, but in Mexico we have the Day of the Dead, which is a 2-day celebration, which is very unique, a festive season that it's a cultural immersion. And I do recommend at some point, if you have that passion for Mexico, if you like Mexico, for you to plan the Day of the Dead experience. And I would recommend doing it plan quite ahead, because it is a time of the year where hotels are booked like this.
Yeah, of course.
So
is there one certain area where like they do have a big on the ground event? Like,
yes, so it's open to everybody. So it's a very family oriented cultural interaction. So, for example, one of the great places to go is Oaxaca. It's very famous for it. And then you go with the families doing their praises of the dead. So every day, it's the 1st and the 2nd of November. They have special activities for each day. And then with our support and our local partner, you go and interact with the families in this celebration. And it's quite interesting because a lot of people think of, the Day of the Dead is something where people are sad and they're mourning. No, it's actually a celebration of the dead. So it's actually a very lively, very happy festive season. So it's quite unique and quite amazing experience for you to do.
I think that connection with the local families and communities is a really special thing. I think that's a really good thing that we offer, being able to connect with and really get to know the people that live there. That's how you see a place.
Amazing. It's a good point that you mentioned, because it's something that we're working on for Latin America, and hopefully we're going to have something very similar to that cultural experience, mixing into every possibility of every time of the year. So we already have a couple in Ecuador and then in Rio. We're trying to focus some in Buenos Aires as well, where you get to, one of the experiences is you go to somebody's house, like an English speaking native Brazilian or Spanish, and then they teach you how their lives are. So it's not much about the cultural of the past or the history, but you understand how the people live and how they socialize.
Because that is truly traveling to a place. You want to really get to know like how people live there, the different cultures.
Yes, and that's what we're trying to focus, is to bring in more unique experiences where you will have more of a cultural interaction with the place that you're traveling to. So of course, you go to Rio, you want to go to the Christ Redeemer, to the Sugarloaf. You want to maybe even go to Carnival, going back to what we were speaking to. But having the opportunity to mix with the Carioca, which is the people from Rio, and understand what their life is, will give you that bigger sense of cultural interaction. And I think that's the unique things that we can offer and we're looking for.
So Carnival, what's that like?
Carnival's amazing. So that's going to the events. I think that's the most famous when you think about festive season in Latin America. I think Carnival, not only in Brazil, they have great Carnival in Colombia as well. But Rio being the most famous Carnival, it's a very unique experience. I do recommend going
When is
at
that?
least once in a lifetime. It's usually between February or March.
Okay.
It's about 40 days before Easter.
Okay,
So it fluctuates on the date, but anytime between February and beginning of March. Next year is in the beginning of March, and it's great. The Rio Carnival just changed a little bit, so they used to be only 2 days. Now they spread out into 3 days, so it's not as long nights. I recommend usually doing one night in the parade, and then the other 2 days exploring the city, exploring the street carnivals, which are amazing as well, and those are free, so no need to no need to spend money on it. But for the Rio Carnival parade itself, I think it's an amazing experience. If you have the budget, I would upgrade to go into the VIP box because it will give you a better service.
They have a VIP box?
Yes, it's quite nice. It's a quite nice experience where you have a private shuttle taking you to the parade, and then you're in a nice area with food, with drinks,
overlooking the parade.
Wow. But then it's quite unique because a lot of people don't know that it's what they call schools. So in between schools, you have about 40 minutes of dead quietness or nothing happening. So if you're sitting down on the stands, then
that's not great.
Boy, as you're in a box, then you have food, you can go drinks, you have bands playing. So it becomes more of like an actual party, which is great. So I think Carnival is a must for bucket list. Of course, you got to understand that a lot of these festives, you're going to crowds. So if you're not looking to crowds, then try to stay away from the festive season.
Yeah, but that's another thing that you can recommend on, because you'll know which days might be busier and which areas might be busier. Like you said, like there's free parties around in the street, but you can recommend where to go and like where is best to visit.
That's where our knowledge comes in.
It's not just the paid things that you can recommend, like the little places that are free to go. It's the recommendations that make it a really tailor-made trip.
And I think that's an important thing that we have that our ground partners, and that's why we are always traveling. Either myself or somebody in the team is always somewhere in Latin America, because there's always new things for you to learn, new experiences for you to understand, places for you to go. So I think it's important for us to have that knowledge and to pass that knowledge.
Yeah, of course. So I've never been to Latin America before. I really want to soon. What advice would you give first-time travelers to Latin America?
Oh, I think it's a great question. I think that Latin America sometimes tends to be very scary for some people, but I can guarantee you it's a great place. Everybody in Latin America, they're so welcoming and safe a place to go. But I think on your first time traveling to Latin America, I think first of all, do your research, do a little bit of understanding how big Latin America is, and try to pinpoint what are your favorite places to go, and then how long you have. And then from there, we can try to help and put something together for you. But I think doing that research and understanding what is your main interest in each area, because if you go Latin America, there's 20 odd countries.
It's a big area,
yeah. So try to pull it down to a few places where it's your most interest. Then we can work together to find the ideal trip for you this time. I think once you're there, I always try engage locally, try to understand how the local culture works, and that's why we're here. That's why our experiences that we suggest is there for you to understand what the local community does, what the locals do. I think that's very important, and I think always stay open-minded. I think there's always the culture shock. There's always the language barrier. So sometimes even the guide, he will speak English, but he will still have English as a second language. So you have to be open-minded to go to Latin America and to expect the unexpected in a good way. Because
that's what we travel for, the new experiences and getting to know a new place.
So I think stay open-minded, like understanding where you're going to go, what little interests will be unique for you that will be a bucket list. For example, if you're a football fan and you want to go to Maracanã, to the big stadium where the World Cup was, 2014 World Cup, then that's in Rio. That's easy thing for us to incorporate into the itinerary. Same thing in Buenos Aires. In Buenos Aires, you have La Boca, which is a neighborhood where Boca Juniors plays, where Maradona, the famous Maradona, played, and also was the coach. So there's quite unique things that we can add. If you really want to see a jaguar, then there's a really nice lodge that you can go that we can guarantee you 100% you'll see the jaguars. So it's having those little understandings of what's special for you will make it happen. And I think the most important, use an expert like myself. There are loads of guys around here that know very well Latin America.
And that would help with all the first points you mentioned, like knowing like what you like and what you want to see and doing the research. It takes all of that away and it'll just put it on the agents. So then,
and then working together with the agents, I think that the travel agents are very important for us and also for the travelers, because they are the people who know the clients well, who know the travelers well, who know the uniqueness or peculiarities of their needs, and then us together as a team, we can build something amazing.
For people watching that would be like, oh, I can just book this myself, why would you go to you or their local travel agent specifically to book their trip? What's the benefit?
Yeah, I think a lot of people think that, oh, I can do it myself. I can do it cheaper or do it better than through a specialist operator, and of course they're local travel agents. I think it's very important for you to understand the logistics and how to get around, know the culture. If you're traveling all the way to South America, for some people it might be the first and only, some of them might be the first of many, but it's very important for you to have the peace of mind that every piece is going to work together, and you're going to have the support locally. So even though we are working around something for you, we have all the support behind to give you what you need. And at any moment of the trip, if you feel like you're missing something, we're there. Our local partners are there to support you and to make changes or to adapt to your needs whilst you're traveling as well. We're here to give you the support for the big trip and make the trip memorable. And that's why having your local travel advisor is important, because that local travel advisor knows you personally, knows what you like, what you don't like, knows about your past trips to make your future trips better. And a lot of them, they have a knowledge, but they don't have extensive knowledge of the whole world. They're like, I don't know the whole world either. Like, you don't know the whole world. But I think the agents, the travel agents, they have the connections. They know the right people, like myself, like other specialists for Latin America, for Asia, for Africa, for USA. So their knowledge, their context is what makes your holiday unique and takes it to perfection. Of course, anybody can go on holiday and book their trips on their own, even on these day and ages with Booking.com, with everything you can do. But first you have to be, you're going to a place where you've never been or you have been a few times. It's important for you to have peace of mind that everything is going to work out together, that the person that's taking you on that trip, it's somebody that's trusted, somebody that has been vetted. I'll give you an example. We had a lovely lady who went to the Galapagos for a cruise on her own, and then she did want to explore a little bit of Ecuador. So we made sure that we had a really nice itinerary focused on a single lady traveling, and then she had a private guide, and her private guide was a lady as well. So they bonded at the end. So it's like little things that will make a difference. You having a specialist, because having the knowledge and the agent having your knowledge, combining will make something amazing for you. So I do recommend.
That's a really good point to think about, actually, because it's the agents that know you through and through. They know your family, they know what you like, they know where you live, they know what you've experienced before, and then you, the tour operators, know everything there is and the ins and outs of the country and all the little hidden gems and stuff. So.
And then the more information we get from travel agents will make it a smoother process to get the perfect holiday. And I think a lot of you already do that, and congratulations, because I think that's what sparks me into travel, is that connection, is making sure that I'm doing a perfect holiday based on the information that we have.
That's tailored to the customer specifically. So it's like
that's why we're here.
To them. Exactly.
We don't sell off the shelf.
I think it's a really good point as well to mention about the, if anything goes wrong, and like on the ground, knowing that there's people there that can look after you, because I think it's something that you never think about. You never think anything's going to go wrong with a holiday, but I think since COVID and since there's, hurricanes and floods and everything, you never know what can happen, and having people there is just, you don't want to be on the phone, you don't know who, you've booked it through Booking.com, you've booked it through a third party, you have no idea like who to contact, no one's answering. Whereas here we've got people on the other end of the phone.
And I think that's one of the great things about Exsus, is that we have that support. We not only have that support in the country, but we also have that support here in the UK. So at any moment, we have 24-hour emergency, even if it's a pre-trip. So sometimes we have people that are going to miss their flight because of an emergency happened here in the UK, or the flight got canceled, delayed. We have a team here that gives us support 24 hours. And I think that's really nice for us that are packaging, that are putting together, know that we can trust our team and then our partners. So I think that's important. Like I said, it's a peace of mind. You're going on a holiday.
You're going on a holiday to relax. You don't want to have to think about like flights and making sure everything is like going right. So us taking on that burden of the stresses and the organizing, I think, is what holidays should be about, really.
Exactly. And I think a lot of people do not use us as much as they could because we have a great concierge team as well that can go into the details of booking restaurants or having that little surprise for the wife or for the husband if they're celebrating something. So use our concierge service a little bit more because then they'll make even more unique experiences. We try to as much as we can to add little perks to the trips, but having that communication with us will make that trip perfect, and for the clients it will be memorable.
Yeah, we want to make it as special as possible. So yeah.
Amazing.
So in your experience in booking holidays for everyone, is there one of your most favorite trips, tailor-made trips that you've done for someone that's turned out to be really amazing?
There's quite a few that stayed in my mind because I do it with passion, and I think when we start interacting and doing quite unique stuff, they stay with me. But I think the one that I have to mention is one that's traveling now beginning of next year. Mr. W, great agent that we worked together with, great knowledgeable agent as well. She knew exactly what the client wanted, and then he's doing a massive 11-week holiday all over. Yeah, and he's ticking almost the boxes. He's almost going to every country in South America.
Wow.
Finishing up in the Caribbean for some relaxation. But it's a very unique itinerary. And he's also taking a cruise all the way down to Antarctica. So it's like packing everything up. And it was amazing because when she came first with the inquiries, I was like, he wants to go to too many places in too little time. But we eventually got there, and then I can tell you it's not a rush itinerary. He's ticking the boxes of where he wanted to go. We're adding some amazing experiences. He's going to Antarctica, which is a bucket list, with Hurtigruten, which is an amazing option for you to go to Antarctica with. But then he's exploring Brazil, Argentina, Chile, Peru, Colombia, and then he's going over to the Caribbean, finishing up. So it is really
the ultimate Latin America trip.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's really nice itinerary, and I think he's gonna have an amazing time.
Yeah.
On this trip. And there's quite a few others that a lot of the memorable ones are the ones that tend to go to quite a lot of countries because that tends to be quite a jigsaw to put together. But there's some unique ones that we did as well that are looking to off the beaten track, like the ones I mentioned in our chat before, with the historic towns of Minas Gerais in Brazil. That's a very unique, a very, very memorable trip. But I think if I had the memory, every single trip would be memorable because I do every single one with passion.
I love that. So if you could visit one country in Latin America for the rest of your life, just one country, which one would you pick? I know it'll be hard. There's a lot, but one. You're gonna get one.
I think it's hard. It is a very bad question because you put me in the spot here. But I would have to say Brazil, not only because it's where I have my blood connection, but because it's it's a huge country, and there's like so much to see there that I think you could spend a lifetime there and not visit all the places in Brazil, to give you an idea. So I think a lot of people think of Brazil when they think of Brazil, they think of Rio, they think of Iguaçu, they think of the Pantanal where you can see the jaguars, or the Amazon, which is amazing forest, biggest forest in the world. But there's quite a unique other places where you can go to. There is a really nice island off the northeast coast of Brazil called Fernando de Noronha, which is a very unique area. The south of Brazil is not very explored. You have the border with Uruguay is quite nice. Also, the southern Pantanal, where it extends from Iguaçu north. There's some amazing places that are very untouched. So there's plenty of places you go to Brazil that today tourists don't go to.
Yeah. So we're a bit more quieter and off the beaten track. I love that. So to wrap up, I think it'd be really good to do a quick fire Q&A. Just give me one country for each question. I'll say a word and you just give me the country that comes to your mind for that. Okay?
Ooh,
so if I was going to say, where's the best food?
Ooh, Peru.
What about the best beaches?
Ooh, Mexico.
Yeah. How about for wildlife?
Ecuador
and the Galapagos?
Yes, of course.
What about for nature and landscapes?
I would go for Patagonia, both in Chile and Argentina.
Oh,
and
Patagonia looks gorgeous.
Yeah, make sure you combine both because they're amazing.
How about for adventure?
Oh, I really like Costa Rica as an adventure. You have quite a lot of adventure options there.
And for culture?
Ooh, culture. I would go with Colombia. Loads of culture there. Great place Afraid to go Medellin, Cartagena, Bogota.
And how about for like the most underrated and overlooked country in Latin America?
That's a tough one, but I think I'm going to go with Bolivia on that one because it's an amazing country and a lot of people don't think about it that much.
Yeah, of course. Amazing. Well, thank you so much for coming on and being our first guest. I know
It's a pleasure. It's always a pleasure. Yeah, and I'm happy to come here anytime you guys need me.
I'll put his details on screen so you can get in touch with him whenever you need for any inquiries. And yeah, we will see you on the next episode.
Thank you.